Alveria, the fall begins. Episode 1. Long before the rise of shadows, before kingdoms fell and names turned to dust, there was a land called Alveria. It was a realm blessed by the light, where rivers shimmered like silver threads, its forests bloomed in eternal spring, and the sun's warmth kissed every valley and hill. Humans lived alongside elves and mystical creatures in harmony, bound by an ancient oath. The light must never fade. But peace, as it always does, grew brittle. Whispers began to rise in the far east, whispers of withered crops, of children born without shadows, and villages swallowed by unseen hands. The signs were clear, but the kingdom, blind in its golden years, did not see. At the heart of Alveria stood the capital, Nymeris, where Queen Eleanor of the Light ruled with wisdom and quiet strength. On a storm-laced night, thunder cracked the sky as the queen summoned the Council of Seven. Their faces were grave, their voices low. It was the High Seer, blind but never unaware, who first spoke what no one dared to utter. He has returned. No name was given, but none was needed. Darkness, the very entity banished beyond realms 5 decades ago, sealed away in a distant plane by the sacrifice of knights and kings. His return was not just a threat, it was the unraveling of everything. That very night, the sky turned black, not from storm clouds, but from wings. Twisted creatures, neither bird nor beast, descended upon Nymeris. Fire lit the rooftops, screams tore through the streets, and shadows poured into the palace like a tidal wave. Elvaria had been caught asleep, far to the west, far from the chaos. In a humble village called Greenfield, a young blacksmith named Kale toiled by the forge. His life was simple: iron, flame, and the smell of sweat. He had never seen the capital, never touched a blade in war. He lived with his mother and grandmother, and for him, the world was small, peaceful. That night, he dreamed. He stood alone atop a high peak, a sword of glowing light in his hand. Before him stretched an endless army of shadows, and behind him a torn banner flapped, bearing the mark of Alveria. Its voice echoed in the wind, soft but unshakable. Fire cleanses, but light restores. He awoke, choking, not from fear, but smoke. Outside, Greenfield burned. Black creatures skittered through the streets. Homes collapsed under their claws. Kale ran, barefoot, shouting for his mother, for his grandmother. No answer came. Just silence, just ash. He fled the village, heart pounding, lungs raw. The key, in the chaos, he stumbled, only to be saved by a sudden flash of silver. A blade cut through one of the beasts. Its body crumbled into dark mist. Standing before him was a girl, not much older than him, but her eyes burned with something fierce and ancient. Her name was Era. Her hair was silver, her dagger marked with ancient runes, and around her neck hung a pendant that pulsed with blue light. "You're Kale," she said, breathless, the last of the fire-blooded. He stared at her, confused, half mad with grief. "I'm just a blacksmith." But Era knew more than he did. She pulled him through the trees, through smoke and night. Behind them, something huge slithered through the forest, a beast made of flame and shadow, gliding above the ground without a sound. They escaped, barely. In a quiet clearing, Era unrolled a map. It was old, frayed, covered in ink that glowed under the moonlight. "Long ago," she said, "when the Dark One was sealed, 7 stones were created to bind him. Each was hidden across Alveria and guarded by chosen knights. One of those stones lies here, deep in the Laura's caverns." Kale looked at her, still shaken. "Why tell me this? I'm no knight. I don't even know how to hold a sword properly." She didn't argue. Instead, she handed him a shard of glowing ore. "Because the world doesn't need another knight. It needs someone who can forge what the knights will carry. You are the last with the gift of firesmithing, and we have no time left." Meanwhile, in the heart of the fallen capital, a new shadow rose from the ashes. Khan, once commander of the Queen's Guard, had long been presumed dead. 20 years ago, he vanished during the last border rebellion. But now he walked again, in armor of black steel, eyes burning red, carrying no banner but vengeance. He knelt before a figure cloaked in shadow, and spoke not as a servant, but as an executioner. They cast me out when I was loyal. Now I return to burn what they swore to protect, and thus the blade of the kingdom had become the blade of its doom. Back in the wilderness, Kale and Era crossed a broken bridge over a river that now flowed black. They stopped to rest. The silence between them grew heavy. Kale turned the glowing ore in his hand, watching its ember flicker. "Why me?" he asked. Era didn't answer at first. Then she said softly, "Because only those who never wanted the light know how to protect it when all else fails." He looked up at the sky, stars hidden behind smoke. "If I'm the last spark in this kingdom, it's all burn bright enough to light the way." And with that, the last forge of Alveria was lit again, not in a shop, but in the heart of a boy who had nothing left to lose.